Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the New Breed Agent Blueprint. And really the goal of this business is to give you a bird's eye view and a holistic approach to how to grow your real estate business. Now, the majority of companies and marketing agencies are only focused on one main area, right? They're focused on client attraction. How do you get more leads? How do you lower your cost per leads? Why is Facebook and Instagram better than Zillow? And that's really where the conversation ends. And so what we need to do is we need to, graduate this conversation and make it into something that actually takes into account these four main components. So let's start going through one by one, talking about some of the challenges that you may experience within each of these areas, and then tying them all together for a cohesive strategy. So with that being said, what is client attraction? And ultimately, the question that you should be asking, forget about social media, forget about the methods, forget about cold calling or any sort of thing that you've been told you have to do. The first component you have to think about when it comes to client attraction is who are you? Who are you as a person, and how do you design and engineer an effective strategy around who you are and who you want to become? You see, some people have different skill sets, some people have different gifts, and there's nothing wrong with cold calling. I know people that do extremely well with cold calling, and there's really no reason for them to change that strategy, right? So whereas most agencies and companies are trying to get you away from any sort of traditional method, I'm simply here to provide a holistic view on all of these main components. So when it comes to client attraction, I know for me, I thrive on video. I like to be on video. And in addition to that, my cousin Jacob and I have started a video marketing agency, which is how we're actually filming this video. So not only do I thrive on video, not only do I love video, not only do I know how to utilize video effectively when it comes to the back end and creating content, creating ads, and directing that content into a cohesive strategy, we also have the tools, we also have the resources. I have no problem pulling out my phone and doing an Instagram story and doing videos. So you have to first start with, I don't want to say what you're comfortable with, because sometimes we need to step out of our comfort zone to find what is actually going to get the best results. But you have to think about, okay, if I wasn't being sold all of these things and there wasn't a ton of noise in the marketplace, how would I go about getting business, And what offerings do I have for the marketplace that's going to make me stand out? We have some people that are more extroverted. They don't mind door knocking. They don't mind, doing open houses. They don't mind calling people down and getting them excited about why they should buy, or sell. But there's other people that, maybe they're more introverted. Maybe they have the ability to understand the market way better than somebody that's extroverted. Maybe they can analyze numbers. Maybe they can look at data and understand how to communicate that effectively to you so that you can maybe net the most for selling that home, right? So you have to first start there. Don't start with technology. Don't start with Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's where you start, because you have to remember where you start here is what then dominoes down this line here. So we have to start with a nice foundation. And so you want to have enough room here so that you can breathe, so that you feel confident and that you feel like you can stay consistent, because what good is it to do a few calls one day and then stop, right? That's not the game we're playing. The game is ultimately consistency over long periods of time and staying disciplined. So when it comes to client attraction, you want to first start there, right? So the first point that I'm going to write it down as is being authentic. There's no point, like I said, in trying to stick with a strategy or trying to utilize a strategy because that's somebody else's truth, okay? So we have a ton of options, and now I'm going to kind of talk about some of the different options that you can utilize and ways that you can attract clients in this new world. So let's start with the first component, which, is my personal favorite, which is going to be video and content. Okay? So this is one that, like I said, maybe that resonates with you, maybe it doesn't. But let's talk about video and content. So keep it simple, you don't have to do all the stuff we're doing. I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, so we know how to do this. But, doing videos and doing content, really, what it comes down to is just practicing. So if you feel really good on video, if you feel like you can convey a message, start with something easy, Start with Facebook Live, start with Instagram Live, start with something that's gonna enable you to actually just make something happen and get something out there, okay? So that's the first component that we have. Now we have other, components that I personally like, which is more related to advertising, right? So we have advertisements, and, within advertising we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have YouTube, there's no shortage of places to advertise, right? But, you're gonna see when I go through all of these, I like to do a blend of these, right? But advertisements are really powerful. Why are they powerful? Because you can do them and set them up once, and they can run like machines. They can run like clockwork, right? Whereas if I just do a video like this one, and I don't know how to turn this into an ad, I don't know how to make this into a cohesive strategy, there's times where you post a video, you get 5 views, and that's kind of it, and you spend a lot of time and energy on it, right? So this is why you have to see all of the pieces, because you could be doing a ton of video, you could feel really good about the video, but no one's actually watching it, and you're not turning it into business, right? So you need a combination of all of these, right? So advertisements, this is another one. This is where you can do Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and different things like that. So what I do, and what I'm going to do with this video, is I'm going to take this video and actually turn it into an advertisement, so that I don't just do it once and say, oh man, hopefully everybody sees it. I want to take the energy that I'm, exerting right now and maximize it by showing it to as many people as possible. Okay? So these are the first two components here. The other thing that I teach in my program is something called digital door knocking. Okay? So I'm going to really mainly talk about the new methodologies. I'm not going to, if you want to learn the traditional methods, there's probably somebody better that can show you, how to do those. But here's what we do with digital door knocking. So we basically are able to find lists of potential sellers, basically homeowners, right? And we send them, and this is a cool tool that you can look up, and maybe I'll link it here, but it's called Loom. So we send these, video messages to, prospective homeowners or home sellers, and what this video does is we just take them through a simple process where we illustrate, hey, these are some homes that are currently on the market. These are homes that we've currently sold within the last few weeks, and maybe whatever that offering is for, for them in that particular scenario, right? But what's cool about this is super low cost, right? When you start getting into advertisements, you got to spend some money. You're not going to get solid lead flow if you're spending, $5 a day. I mean, and if you do, there are strategies that you can get going with $5 a day for sure. But ultimately, the strategies that I teach in my program and the way we've designed it, it has to work all the way down the line, right? So you could see, let's say video, you got some content, maybe you're doing some ads, maybe you just have, normal follow-up, right? Maybe you're sending some iMessages, maybe you're doing, Facebook messages to your friends, right? Just free organic methods. Another one is your Facebook profile. So just posting content on your actual profile, to get free reach, to get free organic post reach, right? And then, email, and, the list goes on and on, right? I don't want to spend too much time here, because this is where most people spend all of their time, right? How do I find new ways to get business? How do I do all these different things, and hopefully I get, really at the end of the day, it's just, you just want a client, right? Or multiple clients. So when it comes to these, the problem that happens here is you have to remember that not only, do you have to find new ways to get attention, right? Find new people that are interested in what you do, but you got to convert those, right? So what you're going to find is that, if you do video and content and no one's watching it and no one cares and it's not even relevant, well, you're not going to convert, right? And if you do advertisements and you look like everybody else in the marketplace, well, you have to be able to, number one, either outspend competitors in order to keep up with that demand and actually make some sort of profit, or number two, have an amazing, robust follow-up machine or team of people just always on top of new leads, right? Because if you don't have an effective system that generates, actual appointments so that you can get that consumer or prospect on the phone call, then you're going to spend so much time just getting them to that stage, right? Because within the actual sales process, right, I can simplify it. You have leads, appointments, and then sales, right? But within that, there's obviously a lot of things that happen, right? But this is what happens is people flood this. People flood that all day long, right? And you can go hire a marketing agency for $2,000 a month and they're going to flood that, right? But here's where you get into the challenge of, the quality's not good. They're not converting, they're not serious, and the list goes on, right? So ultimately, my perspective and what I had to do with, my agency and now what is now a program is I had to say, well, if I can design a system to basically eliminate the lead stage altogether, why wouldn't I just do that? And so I understand that they're still technically leads, but what I'm saying is most people get leads that they're static, they're stagnant, they're just like name, email, phone number, and that's it, right? You need a live call. You need the connection to be, that's when stuff happens. When you're on the phone with the other person, you're listening, and you're actually, it becomes real, right? So if you flood this, right, then, and you forget that, oh shoot, well, if I actually convert one of those leads, then I'm going to have to service them, right? And now you've experienced the bottleneck of the service delivery, and then you can't follow up on those leads because you're too busy servicing the client, right? So this is why when I created my program, I had to look at these four main components and see, okay, how do we create something cohesive? So this is just one piece, right? So let's just say you've found your formula here and now you're ready to move on. So when it comes to conversion, well, the entire framework that I'm applying here is basically turning from human into, video and computers, right? Or bits is basically the way to put it, right? How do we turn this, which is most people operate in the flesh, right? They do traditional methodologies of client attraction in the flesh. They go in person, they make the call in person, they do all these new things. And then their way of converting is through manual labor and manual methods, right? So the idea here is we want to convert. How do we start converting these clientele or potential clients over the internet, right? And how do we do that systematically? So this is where I came up with the idea of what you would call a virtual sales presentation, okay? And so instead of, I'm just going to cut it there. So virtual sales presentation. So what is that? Well, this could be considered a virtual sales presentation, right? So imagine the energy I'd have to exert to go and do this office to office and try to keep doing this same exact message, right? So it's the same thing for you guys as real estate agents, and this is why this is where you get the quality of the lead problem, right? So what we've designed in our process that we teach real estate agents how to use is a few different things, okay? And these are a little bit more, feature-based, a little bit more practical and specific, but I think it'll give you a better picture, right? So in the client conversion stage, what we have is this, instead of just, a list of homes, instead of just some sort of ad that everybody else is running, we decided, okay, what's going to really give us the most leverage when we, invest our advertising dollar? And ultimately, it's going to be to indoctrinate the lead. Okay, this is where I call, the other name I have for the virtual sales presentation is an indoctrination video, right? So just like this, right? You're experiencing me, go through this video, and the more you watch, the more you see me, the more you learn from what I'm saying, the farther down the pipeline you go, right? And so that's the same methodology that we teach our clients how to use is, okay, anybody can do a list of homes, anybody can do a home evaluation, but how do we get people as far along in the sales process as possible so that when they actually get on the phone, they're ready to buy, or they're ready to go in for a pre-approval, or they're ready to actually say, hey, come list my home. And it comes down to these differentiating factors that we're teaching, which is sales presentations, virtual sales presentations, surveys, right? So instead of just saying, oh, well, the traditional model teaches, well, any opportunity that you get, just take it, right? But when you're paying money, why not get what you pay for? Why not pay the extra $5 or $20 for a lead that's actually interested and qualified? Because, you guys make thousands of dollars of commission on the sale of a property. So why wouldn't you spend that extra $20, $30, $50, $100 even, or, in some cases even more than that? Because if that client's already pre-approved, if that client has the income, if that client's ready to actually sell, think of how much time that saves you when you're going through your process, right? So really, in all of these areas, we want to start by eliminating, and part of the way we eliminate is through a filtration system in the client conversion stage, okay? So we want to use sales presentations, we want to use surveys, we want to use a calendar, an indoctrination video, and we also want to do video follow-up and video objection handling, okay? So that's what I'm doing in this video, right? Everything that I'm saying to you guys is what I do, right? So objection handling, okay? So imagine everything that's in the traditional model of real estate is perfect, and we're just taking that same methodology, that same framework, and we're adapting it into this new way of doing it, right? So sales presentations, surveys, right? You want to start asking, hey, are you actually thinking about selling? Are you really interested in selling? You want to ask, do you want to be contacted, right? Yes, I would like you to text me. Yes, I would like you to call me. Yes, I'm ready for your call. No, I'm just clicking around, right? These are things we can ask so that, we don't waste our time and energy just trying to convert anybody, right? Because like I said, if you're accustomed to chasing down people and trying to convert everybody, then, what I'm saying seems kind of crazy, right? Because these are missed opportunities. These are people you're not going to convert. But, the idea here is if you're going to build a system, right? Imagine you're trying to filter water. Why would you say, oh, well, let me just try and get the most water possible that I can when you start sacrificing quality, right? Why not get the best quality that you can of that water? And yeah, maybe there's less, but there's no point in building a system if you're just going to get, fed basically a bunch of people to sift through, okay? So when it comes to this sales presentation, right, what does this look like? So here you basically want to, the simplest way that I could describe it is basically somebody that wants to buy a house or sell their house has some sort of limiting belief about why they should do it now, or why they should even do it at all. So this sales presentation should be a combination of your already converting listing presentation. If it's not converting currently, if we take it online, that doesn't mean it's going to convert, right? So you need some sort of converting listing presentation and converting first-time homebuyer consultation, etc. Right? But within it, we want to have some psychology about limiting beliefs that prospect is going to have when it comes to why they should make the decision now. And so in this video, we handle those limiting beliefs and we show them either results of our clients. We show them how we were able to sell a home, under 30 days. Maybe they think it's going to take 3 months, right? Maybe they hired the wrong agent. Maybe they don't know that they're going to net the most amount of money in the market right now, right? So whatever those things are in my program, I take you through the process of actually uncovering these for you and your ideal client. but we want to handle that there, right? And so you can imagine that within this process, right? Within this process, we're taking the lead and prospect through. They're not just clicking and submitting some information and saying, "Wow, who's this? I don't even remember that," right? Because they did that 20 times that day. So what we're doing is we're creating this video, we're making it conscious, we're making it like they actually initiated this phone call. And then at the end of this video, at the end of this sales presentation, we basically give them an invitation to fill out a survey and book a time in the calendar. And once they do that, you on your phone, you get this appointment, you get this application, and it's like, wow, I actually have like a professional like real estate consulting business. It's not like I just got to chase down whoever I can get and everybody fend for themselves, right? So it really creates this feeling like I'm a professional. I should be valued. I should value my time, and I should value the time that I actually give to new prospects, right? So part of this too is actually switching your paradigm about viewing and how you view what you do, right? Because if you view, every client or every potential client as somebody you have to help, at some point you may jeopardize your time and jeopardize your energy and not preserve it for the right thing. So this is what we do to actually filter this, and we show you how to do this, and you can ask any question you'd like, right? And this really gives you an idea. And another thing here too is that when they book that phone call, you can set up different things to move them even further down the process, right? So maybe this is something like, hey, before the call, check out some of our past client testimonials, right? Or check out, the home we recently sold in this area, right? So when somebody actually books, you can keep moving people down the production line, right? Down the sales process. And we want to do this with videos, right? Doesn't mean videos like this one and you got a professional camera and just this whole setup. You can just do it simply from this tool I mentioned earlier called Loom, okay? And you want to start handling those objections before the call. You want to do anything that is gonna really sway the person in the direction you'd like them to go. And I use this process obviously, and I've had tons of calls where people get on the phone and they're like, man, I've watched like 4 videos of you, and now they're on the phone, right? So I'm already in this position of authority. They already feel like they know me. They already feel comfortable. And so this is what you want to create. You don't want to just create some lead that you're now chasing down. You want to start converting from the moment that they see your ad, from the moment they see your content. Every moment, the first time that they see you that's the start of the sale. That's the start of the sales process, right? So let's move on. The next component is the service delivery, okay? So what happens is, you could do these really well, right? You could convert clients, you could get a bunch of leads, but what's going to happen is you're going to start to have to deliver these services, right? Unless you have a team that actually fulfills, the client's service for you. But, regardless of that, we have to productize real estate. And this is what all the big companies are doing. This is what all the, Zillow, this is what Zillow Instant Offers is. Sunday, you name it. Home Shake, Easy Home Buyer, I know all these, right? This is a combination of online, investors, online buyers, e-buyers, and this is a combination of companies that are basically eliminating real estate agents, right? So when it comes to this, right, because the same way that you're looking at me and saying, well, why are you different than any other marketer out there and any other agency going to get me leads? And I'm trying to illustrate that to you guys. The same thing is going to go for somebody that needs to sell or buy. They're going to say, well, somebody just told me what you just told me, right? So when you actually embody these frameworks here, it's going to change the way you view and, act in your real estate industry, business, right? So when it comes to productizing real estate, what does that look like? Well, the home buying process and the home selling process and whatever else that you have, you got to imagine these like production lines, right? Like you have to actually look at these like processes and workflows, and some of you have done a really great job with that. Some of you, sometimes don't even know that this is like a process and a workflow, right? So what happens is, when you start to map these different things out, you realize you don't need that many tools to actually do this successfully, or at least, make it like 10 steps better than how you have it currently. So what we want to do is, really the key to this whole thing in every aspect is if somebody, there's three main things, right? So we have users, we have content, right? Content, like what I'm creating right now. And then we have context. Okay, so this is something called information architecture. And we have to design information throughout our entire business in a way that fits in this world. Because most of the people that I see that are agents, I can access the details of a property faster than them. Most of them, haven't designed this well, right? So you could imagine what this means is that there has to be a perfect amount of overlap between the people involved in a transaction, the information that they have, and the context that they have, which means, well, what just happened before that? And if that happened before that, that means I need that in the future, right? Or if this just happened, how do I go back to access that, right? So when it comes to service delivery, if you're just going through it and you're doing everything yourself, this is great, right? This is awesome because that means you have a really thorough understanding of how to design this well. But when you see what we have in our program and the way that we've done it, we basically, to simply kind of illustrate it here, is you could just imagine that, there's just a digital funnel, right? And let's just imagine that this is like, I'm going to keep it super simple because, simple is always the best. So let's just imagine that this is let's imagine that these are just website pages, right? And that on each page you just, click a button and it takes you to the next page, right? Like a funnel. So let's say you've already converted them, they've already signed the listing agreement, they've already signed the buyer contract, and now it's time to like service them. Well, once they sign that, right, there's context that you do manually in person, right? You say, oh, well, now that your home's listed, the next step is the photography, or the next step is this, and I got to do that, right? We want all of that stuff in video. And each of these videos should lead you or lead the client into the next step. And, I'm simplifying it here because I got to keep it simple. But the idea is that, hey, somebody just signed a listing contract. How do you send them a chain of web pages so that now they see this first video, and then after that, they go to the next step, and then they go to the next step, right? So you could imagine that it's basically just creating a simple funnel and online process for the listing process, for the buyer process, right? So, you start with getting pre-approved, and then you go to the next step, and then you go to home shopping, and you go to all these different things. And just imagine every phone call you guys make, every text you send, you're basically doing that, right? You're manually doing it. But when you do it through video, and you can really, at least, it may not fully take the, you out of the equation, but it can alleviate a lot of it, right? And like I said, all of this is what I've done, right? So one of the things that I used to do with ads and all the stuff that I'm telling you is I would run the ads, right? I would have to get passwords. I'd have to get contracts signed. I'd have to get, accounts created. I have to get images. I'd have to get videos. I'd have to get, logins, right? The same kind of thing that you guys have to do. Contracts, income statements, get them to sign things, right? And so what I did is I turned this into a fully automated onboarding system, right? I'd have to be an admin on their Facebook page, an admin on their Instagram, right? So I turned that into a full set of video instructions, and I started just sending that to my clients when they would pay. So they would pay, I would send it over, and they would self-serve themselves and have a better experience. It would allow me to focus more on production and, creating a better product. and then they, were able to get it done, right? So that's a very simplified version. Now you can see my entire, basically the entire service that I have has been, squeezed as much as possible into this new model, which is now why I have an online program which takes you through this entire process and more. And I show you how to set up the funnel. I show you how to set up a pixel. And I show you how to do these different things because anybody can learn them, right? And so the same thing when it comes to real estate, if you want to increase your production and increase your ability to sell, well, you need to make this as tight and, as quick as possible, because let's say you do let's say your bottleneck is 5 deals a month, and that's where you're running around like crazy. You can't attract, you can't sell, or you're paying for attraction, but you can't convert because you're servicing. Well, if you can start to alleviate some of this stress by creating videos, and basically, like I said, imagine it like a production line, right? So you got a system bringing in the lead. You got a system that converts it to a phone call. From there, now when they actually sign the contract with you, they go through this process of actually, watching the videos, getting contacts, and so they're not calling you as much, they're not texting you, right? And they're getting a better experience. Then that's going to free you up to produce more than, just getting more leads, right? Because who better is it to serve and get the best results for than the people that are already working with you and you already have a deal with, right? So what does this create? Well, this creates an unlimited income opportunity. This is the benefits of being an entrepreneur. This is one of the benefits of being a real estate agent, is that if you can do these really, really well, there's really no limit, right? But this is why, most marketing agencies and companies, they just talk about this. Hey, I'm going to just dump you leads, you convert them, and then, like I said, you're going to see a bottleneck in service delivery because of this entire equation here. So when you do these things right, you eliminate the bottlenecks in each of these areas. And so, now instead of just getting a lead online or from some manual method, you're now, utilizing any one of these strategies. And then instead of trying to create context and rapport, manually, you're letting some of the sales presentation do the lifting, right? They're building contacts, they're liking you, they're trusting you, they're seeing your testimonials. Then they're kind of indoctrinated by the time they actually get on the phone, and it's way more streamlined and fluid. And then when they actually decide to work with you, instead of explaining the same thing over and over and creating, answering the same questions, then you create what we have in our program too. We have a frequently asked question portal. And video, I'm big on video in every way. This is one way to do video. If you have the setup and you can do it, great. If not, like I said, you could do 99% of this with Loom and Google Slides or Keynote, right? Or Microsoft PowerPoint. And so frequently asked questions portal, they ask you guys the same questions, right? You need to start decentralizing yourself. So you can do this through frequently asked questions portal. I also recommend utilizing a group. All your clients should be in a group. All your clients can help each other. Imagine that seller that sold their home 2-3 times with you already, and a new seller is in this group and they post a question and that seller asks a question or answers the question, right? But people don't think like that because it's oh, well, I don't even know why. But this is what's going to happen. So you want to get your clients in a group, and you also want to get, going back to conversion, you want to get people that are not ready right now, because that's going to happen no matter what system you have. You want to get these people into a Facebook group, and you want to do content and stuff there, right? So that you're not just manually going directly to everybody. You're at least capturing the biggest amount of people, right? So people that aren't ready, okay, hey, so I understand you're not ready. I'm going to put you in my free group if that's okay. I do weekly content, I do weekly Q&As, and I just keep you up to date on the market. Does that sound good? Yes, boom. Now they're in your group. It's a free way to follow up with them, and you build more and more of the indoctrination factor, right? And then same with the service delivery. When people start working with you, past clients, present clients, put them in a different group for support, right? So that other clients may want to help, help other clients out. And like they may have the same question, right? Then if you answer with a video using Loom, then they both can see it at the same time, right? So once again, I want to be clear. This doesn't change the fact that you're going to connect with clients. This doesn't change the fact, like I'm not saying ignore your clients. I'm just saying try to alleviate as much of this as you can by maximizing your resources. That's all I'm saying. You got to decide for you what's going to work. You got to decide, how you can go about doing this in a way that feels good to you. But I wanted to share this video with you guys when it comes to the New Breed Agent Blueprint, why we're different, the problems that we're focused on solving, and ultimately the holistic approach to growing your real estate business so that ideally, you can utilize your business to uplift a worthy cause and utilize the power of unlimited income opportunity that you have. But it first comes with mastering each of these 3 levels. And if you just do one, you're going to find yourself, in the middle of trying to, you're going to have a bottleneck within the next area, right? So it's all one synergistic motion, and you have to keep everything fluid, and you have to constantly be looking at each of these areas and saying, okay, where can I alleviate the stress? Where can I reduce the time I'm spending? And how do I increase the value I'm providing at that stage and do less work? I mean, that's the goal, right? So with that being said, or one thing is, when I say do less work, it doesn't mean sacrifice quality. It means make the quality even better, right? So how do I do less work, increase the amount of quality that I'm providing to my customers? And, how do I leverage these things? Facebook group, that's free. Frequently asked question portal, that's free. Loom, it's free for the first 100 videos. Google Slides, it's free. So I'm not telling you go and spend, $100,000 and do all this stuff. I'm saying, hey, you're going to spend this time manually doing stuff. You might as well spend that same energy and utilize it for something that's going to last, right? If you make a group, if you make videos, if you answer objections, if you answer frequently asked questions, those videos don't leave, right? So that's a really good decision, and that's called, asymmetry, and I'll talk more about that on another video. But I'll conclude the video there, the New Breed Agent Blueprint. If you are interested in learning more about our program, it's an 8-week transformational program. It's called New Breed Agent Academy. We teach you this and more. Feel free to comment below on this video. If you're watching this from an advertisement, decide to book the call. If you're seeing this organically, feel free to comment below, send me a message. But I hope it finds you well, and I'll conclude it there. That's it. Thank you.